We finally did it. We got TGD 2.0 released. This has been probably 6 months of work, almost full-time work between me and Christina. Christina, I am Gamer Girl. She is the front-end developer, and she does a little bit of back-end as well. And then I do all the back-end stuff, all the calculations for the charts and stats and all the premium features and things like that. So we've been working together on this since the very start, about 3 years ago. And basically TGD 1.0 had gotten really heavy. It was all written from scratch, HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and PHP. And we wanted to just start fresh and get a good code base in a good actual front end. So we rebuilt this all in Angular with a PHP backend, and it's just much faster, much smoother, works much better. And it was a ton of work, tens of thousands of dollars to develop this. So I really hope you guys appreciate it. I just want to go through all the features today and show you what we've got and talk about the future plans for TGD. So I'm going to start by going through just the normal features. Honestly, not a whole lot has changed in actual functionality at this point. Basically, we wanted to get what was on TGD 1 onto TGD 2, and then because it's on Angular and it's much more agile for future development, we'll be able to add things a lot quicker to this and make changes on the fly a lot easier than it would have been for TGD 1. So I'll be getting a lot more premium features and things working here pretty soon. But for the most part, it's mostly the same site. So you'll start with picking your game over on the right. Then you can also pick it on the left. It's in the sidebar as well. Pick your game. Right now, Warzone 2, Modern Warfare 2 have the same data. But if you've watched my recent videos, you've seen that maybe there's some armor damage differences. So I'll be doing more investigating for that and updating Warzone 2.0 to have those different damage values as we find them. Then you just go to the comparison tool. And I do want a quick note as we get into this. You'll see up in the top right, it says main data courtesy of sim.gg. I cannot thank them enough. They've allowed us to use the data mine numbers from Modern Warfare 2 that they've been able to get. So all of the statistics for Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 come from Symthic. They are from the game files, so they should be pretty much perfect. Obviously, there's some interpretation for some of those things sometimes, but the numbers themselves are basically perfect, and I cannot thank them enough. This pretty much would not have been possible to get the data this time around without the data mine numbers, and that's because some of the stats are actually additive this time instead of multiplicative, and I'll explain that as I show some examples. But yeah, just hugely massive thanks to Sim for allowing us to use those numbers. All right, so first up, something that's different, adding, removing, changing weapons is much quicker now. So they're kind of in like this tabular format here. You can select the guns, and as soon as you click the gun, it'll add it. These are obviously filters for this list. And then all the attachments are over on the left. You can quickly select the attachments you want, and it'll update that gun, quickly remove the gun with a little trash symbol. And then something I want to mention here. So we've got these new basically stat bars, but they're real stat bars, unlike the stat bars in the game. So if you select something like a BAS-P, which is an SMG, you're going to see that the sprint to fire time, 210 milliseconds, is a real representation of where that stands in the guns as a whole. Same with movement speed, same with bullet velocity. These are all scaled appropriately. So as you add attachments, if you want to add something that is going to increase bullet velocity, for example, or let's add the suppressor. So that increases bullet velocity. You can see that bar grew by a little bit, and that's scaled in a real way that's representative of the entire pool of weapons. So without even comparing to other weapons, a lot of the time with that, you can kind of see where the gun's going to stand on those stats. Then we have the standard single gun TTK chart. So this has all the normal options, all the different health values for whatever game you're currently looking at. We are using a new charting software that, in my opinion, is a lot better. It looks better, has better transitions. So also when you're hovering now with a mouse or on mobile, it actually works really well. As you touch the screen, it'll show you all the important points. So you can see right at this point at 35.3 meters with attachments. The TTK at the bottom is 952 milliseconds, and then at the top, 1089. And then the base weapon is 1099. So at every important point, you can now hover and see all the weapons in your comparison. As always, you can toggle all the different target locations. You can start Y at 0 if you want the graph to be less misleading in terms of how it's scaled. Sprint to fire time can be included. Open bolt delay can be included. ADS time can be included. And bullet travel time can be included. So bullet travel time is basically takes the bullet velocity and figures out how long it would take that bullet to get to whatever range you're looking at on the TTK chart, and then adds that time to kill to it. So for guns like if you're looking at like a Fennec and it has really low bullet velocity, in some cases out at like 30 meters, the time that bullet takes to get to the target compared to something with a fast bullet velocity like an AR with bullet velocity attachments can actually make a decent difference in the actual time to kill. In the next section, we have damage profile. So this is the same feature that was on TGD 1. We don't have the guy with the different colored regions yet showing like 40 damage to the head is this color on this actual visual representation of that. We're going to be re-adding that at some point. But for now, it has all the options: damage, TTK, DPS, shots to kill, and it'll show how different attachments change that. So if you remember in Warzone Caldera, at the end of it with the Vanguard weapons, you could have like 4 or 5 different attachments that actually change the damage profile. So that's why this was built this way. It doesn't really make sense for Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 because there's like no attachments that change the damage profile right now, or very few at least. So this was really built more with Warzone Caldera in mind. Obviously, we've been working on this for like 6 months. So, I mean, we'll probably tweak this up a little bit as we get a little more experience with Warzone 2 and Modern Warfare 2. But for now, it'll show all the values at each range: damage, TTK, DPS, shots to kill for any different health value. Then down at the bottom, we have the full comparison stats. So this is the TTK chart. As usual, we've got the 4 guns in the comparison. And like I said, every important point you can hover now and see the values of all the different weapons at that exact spot on the graph. So that's pretty useful, and it works really well on mobile too. I do want to mention we are going to try to turn this into an app, like a native Android and iOS app in the future. That was one of the reasons why we chose Angular, because it's pretty easy, supposedly. I don't know if I believe that. We'll find out. Pretty easy to turn it into a native app for both Android and iOS. So that's in the plans. That's one of the next things we're going to be working on. But again, this is the normal TTK chart. You can select all your different options like normal, and it'll show the transitions between those, all the different shot locations. Combination is still a premium feature. And then at the top of the full comparison, you have the table. So you can go to the table stats like we had on TGD 1.0. And again, we're going to add a bunch more stuff to this. This was basically getting it to the point where it was worth releasing over TGD 1. It's smoother. We have the Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 data courtesy of Sim. So it was worth releasing, even though we don't have a lot of like new features. It's mostly just better versions of what we had before, but it's going to be so much easier to add new stuff to this as we go. Down at the bottom, we've got this is something new. These are comparisons of each individual stats. You can see, you can hover over them and see like fire rate for my Castov, BASP, EBR, Chimera. You can hover over them and see how these different stats compare. All the important ones should be down here. But yeah, this is the main comparison tool, just basically revamped for TGD 2.0. So recoil, we basically have essentially the same functionality as TGD 1 again. On the right, this is the single weapon recoil pattern. This is a premium feature, and I'm going to expand so far on recoil now that we have the data from Sim. I can actually focus more on building features rather than just testing data. It was just killing me. I can't describe enough how much I appreciate being able to use the data mine numbers. So I'll be diving into recoil and making this a lot better. I've got a lot of ideas for this, but for now, it's pretty much the same. Something else to mention that I didn't say before, you can download all of these graphs now. So if you just click the little download button, it'll save it, and you can just have it. You can share it with your friends, whatever. It'll save an actual image of each graph. Works for TTK charts, works for recoil, everything like that. Next premium feature, this is the shot to kill calculator. I don't know how many of you actually really use this on TGD1, but it's a useful tool for seeing how many shots off the selected shot location change the time to kill. So this is something that we saw over and over in Warzone 1. The weapons that had one extra headshot to reduce that time to kill tended to be the meta almost always if you looked at the actual numbers behind the weapons. So like for example, this weapon, this is the Castov 762. The selected shot location is chest. So if you look at this, it says 7 shots to the chest does 266 damage, and you'll get a 600 millisecond time to kill. But then if you look at the headshot, if you get 4 chest shots, so you see chosen shot location is the gray, and then the other shot location is the colorful one. So 4 chest shots and 2 headshots does 264 damage and gets you that reduced time to kill of 500 milliseconds. And then it does the same for reduced damage shot locations. So 2 chest shots and 6 stomach shots gives you just enough to kill, and it takes 8 shots there and increases the time to kill by 100 milliseconds. So it's kind of a useful tool for seeing how effective a gun is with just one headshot mixed in, or just mixed shot locations in general. Again, this is something I want to expand on. I want to kind of mix it in so it can do things like 1 headshot, 1 neck shot, or 3 leg shots and 2 chest shots and 2 headshots, and get all those different combinations showing up here. So this is the base form of this. It's much more easy to visualize with a new tool than it was before. And then down the full comparison, we still have the recoil plot comparison for all the different weapons you have currently built and selected. So we got the Castov, Icarus, M4, Minibak. You can see how the recoil compares for all these different weapons on here. You can stack them on top of each other if you want to see basically how they deviate and which angle they take, left or right, things like that. Distance to target currently doesn't do anything. That was for the target that was underlaid on TGD1. We'll be re-adding that pretty soon. But yeah, so right now it shows all the recoil, and attachments should affect this. And then next up, one of the coolest and most powerful premium features on TGD currently is the best stat tool. This basically allows you to look up any combination of attachments for any combination of weapons and see how the stats compare and find the best for whatever stat you're looking at. So if you want the best ADS SMG in the game, you can click SMG, add all. It'll add all the SMGs in Warzone 2 to the comparison, select ADS, and calculate. This will look at every combination of attachments for every single gun that you added in the comparison and find basically the best stat for whatever stat you selected. So Fennec 45 with these attachments, either one of these attachment combinations, has 125 millisecond ADS time, which is the fastest of all the SMGs in the game. So you can do this for any stat: bullet velocity, fire rate, hip fire, movement, sprint, sprint to fire, tac sprint, ADS movement. You can also do it for TTK and DPS. So this is a huge one as well. So if you take something like time to kill and you say 250 health for an SMG, it's really important to have really fast time to kill up close. So let's say 10 meters. And then we want to use combination shot locations. So these are my standard 15% headshot, 5% neck, yada, yada, all the way across. And say, I want to include sprint to fire in that number, because for an SMG up close, a lot of the time you need to include how long it takes to go from sprinting to firing on top of the time to kill. For that comparison, you can click calculate, and boom, it calculates it for all the weapons in the comparison. And you can see Fennec 45, the entire first page is the Fennec, as you'd expect. Vaznov starts to sneak in here on the second page, but it shows every combination of attachments that lead to those time to kills, which is just an extremely powerful tool for helping you build the best guns, find the best stats. You can do this for DPS, you can do this for any shot location, any health value, any range. It's just a really, really powerful tool. You can also include bullet travel time, ADS time, open bolt delay in all these calculations. Right now, the little plus button unfortunately doesn't work. What that did on TGD 1 was added it to your comparison. Obviously, that's super important, so we'll get that working ASAP. But it was just kind of overlooked as we were building this. But we'll get that re-added very soon. So we've got the creators room page as well. I want to talk a little bit about profiles on TGD. These are just basically creators that we wanted to have be on the creators room page. So we've got Art is War. It'll show if they're live or not on Twitch, if they've connected their Twitch account. Sparrows is live. Art is War is live. Pretty cool stuff here. So you can go to their accounts and see all of their favorite builds. This is going to mostly be for Warzone 1 because we didn't have this released yet. So most of these creators haven't updated their builds, but it's pretty cool. You can connect your builds to Twitch. This is something that any premium member has access to. Non-premium, I think you can save like 10 builds to TGD. When you're premium, you can save unlimited, and you can use Twitch commands to actually put those in your Twitch chat automatically through our collab with QuickStatsBot. So shout out to QuickStatsBot for all the work he's done with us to connect our TGD profiles to Twitch. So if you go to your personal dashboard after logging in, you'll be able to see all your saved builds. They all have different categories. I've kind of categorized them based on what I think are the main, basically, ways of playing in this game. So sniper support, versatile main. That'd be like a main AR that's pretty versatile for all situations. Long range main would be if you're using it with an aggressive SMG. Versatile SMG would be kind of something you could maybe use as like a sniper support SMG, or basically sort of like a P90 from Warzone 1, where it was pretty good at range, pretty good up close, just not the best at anything. Aggressive SMG, obviously like a Fennec, something that just has really fast time to kill. Long range sniper or aggressive sniper. Long range sniper tends to be more of like the heavy snipers, and then aggressive sniper would be something like a Kar98 or a Swiss. So those are all the options you have for that. You can filter based on those different categories. You can connect all your different socials to your account. You can add moderators. So I have people that moderate for my account that can add builds, change builds, things like that. And then it'll show who you're moderating for as well in your account. And then there's all the normal profile things for your profile here. And then also it'll show your total profile views. So just a pretty cool dashboard for all of your builds, for sharing weapons with people, things like that. All right, guys, that's all I wanted to cover. Just wanted to go over the entire website. I do want to say that obviously we are going to add more to this, and there's going to be bugs still. This is very much a beta. A lot of the stuff that we ran into when we first launched, this has been up for 3 or 4 days at this point. So many of you probably already knew about this. I've talked about it on Twitter a bunch. I even did a community post on YouTube. So a lot of you are aware of this already. But there are definitely bugs. There were a lot of bugs early on that we just didn't have when we were developing this on the local environment. And then when it went to a live environment on the website, there was some server stuff going on. So there's still going to be bugs. There's going to be things we're tweaking. So if the site ever just like goes down or something like that, give it a few minutes because we might be tweaking something, changing something. But yeah, if you have persistent issues, of course, reach out. Twitter is one of the best ways to reach me. You can also email either me or Christina, and we will see that. But we're going to be constantly developing this, building new tools. I'm really excited to be able to finally move on to new things and make TGD what I've always wanted to make it in terms of features. I just haven't been able to because of all the testing. So again, thanks to Sim for allowing us to use the data. If you guys do appreciate all the work we've put into building this new site, the absolute best way to support is just through a TGD membership. I mean, obviously watching this video, liking, commenting, all that, that supports by itself. So don't feel obligated to subscribe to TGD. Like, it's just, if you want to help support monetarily, that is the best way to do it pretty much across all the different, platforms and things that we have. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for supporting. As always, just watching the video is supporting. So I appreciate all of you, and I will see you in the next video.